Imagine receiving an invitation to the most exclusive night in fashion, the Met Gala. But now imagine being told the theme is one that doesn't just challenge your style, it challenges your identity. A theme that forces you to confront your place in the world of celebrities, royalty, and global attention. This is exactly the moment Meghan Markle found herself in when whispers of the 2026 Met Gala theme started to circulate within Hollywood circles. The news hit like a thunderclap, spreading through private texts, agent memos, and designer DMs, leaving no doubt that this event would not just be a night of fashion. It would become a battlefield of ego, ambition, and public spectacle. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. The theme, according to insiders, was steeped in historical pageantry, an era of royal extravagance and regal symbolism. But while most celebrities saw it as a playground for creativity, Meghan Markle allegedly saw it as a personal affront. Imagine her, scrolling through the leaked theme announcement, her mind racing, not with inspiration, but with the undeniable realization that if she didn't act, she might be excluded from a moment she had long envisioned for herself, a night where she could not only shine as a celebrity, but embody the very fantasy she had cultivated for years, the princess in her own story. But why did this matter so much? Why would one gala theme trigger what some are calling a full-blown confrontation with one of the most powerful talent agencies in Hollywood? The answer lies in perception, status, and control. Meghan Markle has spent years meticulously crafting her public image, balancing her former royal identity with her Hollywood persona. The Met Gala is more than a fashion show. It is a stage where the world watches, judges, and applauds, or critiques. To be left out, or to feel boxed in by a theme that doesn't accommodate her vision, would be a blow not just to her ego, but to her carefully cultivated brand. Sources close to the story suggest that Meghan didn't sit idly by. The moment she learned of the theme, she allegedly reached out to her WME agents with a message that would raise eyebrows in any corporate boardroom. "I need to be at the gala," she reportedly demanded, "and I will be attending dressed as a princess. No one can tell me otherwise." These weren't polite inquiries or tentative negotiations. Insiders say her tone was firm, commanding, and unmistakably urgent. Hollywood insiders and former colleagues described the scene as electric with tension. Imagine a room filled with executives, designers, and celebrity liaisons, all processing the audacity of the demand. Some were amused, some were shocked, and some were already bracing for the fallout. Because in an environment where exclusivity equals power, Meghan Markle was challenging not just a theme, but the very control of the event itself. Could a single celebrity, even one with royal ties, dictate the parameters of a gala attended by the world's most elite tastemakers? Now, let's take a step back and consider the theme itself. While some may see it as just another creative prompt, the details are crucial. The 2026 Met Gala theme, insiders say, is a homage to monarchy, pageantry, and historical fashion opulence. It celebrates the elaborate rituals of royalty, the intricate craftsmanship of gowns, the symbolic gestures of crowns, scepters, and regalia. It is a theme that demands respect for tradition and the designer's interpretation of centuries of aristocratic influence. For Meghan, who has navigated both the real-life responsibilities of royalty and the performative spotlight of Hollywood, this theme was not merely a canvas. It was a mirror reflecting everything she had tried to shape about herself. And herein lies the contradiction. Meghan is no stranger to spectacle. She has made headlines for her wardrobe choices, her public appearances, and her carefully curated statements. Yet, according to multiple insider accounts, this theme presented a challenge she couldn't ignore. Why attend a gala in an outfit that could be interpreted as passive or derivative when the world was watching her every move? She needed more than a dress. She needed a narrative, a statement, a moment that would cement her presence in the annals of Met Gala history. The drama didn't stop at her initial reaction. Allegedly, she escalated her demands, pushing her WME agents to negotiate with designers, event coordinators, and even security personnel. She wanted guarantees, assurances that her vision of a princess moment would be honored. The tension between ambition and reality began to mount. Some insiders suggest that this was not just about fashion but power, control over her image in a world where perception is currency and every detail matters. And then came the whispers that would ignite social media. Meghan's alleged confrontation with WME didn't happen quietly. Rumors of raised voices, storming offices, and heated discussions began circulating, feeding the gossip mill with every retelling more dramatic than the last. For a moment, it seemed the Met Gala might become a stage for more than fashion. It might become a theater for a real-life clash of wills. Would Meghan get her ticket? Would she bend the rules to secure her princess fantasy? Or would Hollywood, with its layers of protocol, influence, and gatekeeping, push back against what some might see as overreach? Let's pause for a moment and think about what this means for the audience. Why should you care? Because this isn't just a story about fashion or even about Meghan Markle. This is a story about ambition, identity, and the high-stakes interplay of celebrity and power. It is about how a single individual can challenge established norms, push boundaries, and ignite controversies that ripple across social media, news outlets, and public discourse. It's about watching a real-time negotiation of status unfold in a world obsessed with appearances and influence. And yet, even as we unpack the drama, there's more lurking beneath the surface. Who leaked the initial theme? Who whispered Meghan's alleged demands to the press? How did designers react when faced with the prospect of accommodating her fantasy? And what alliances formed behind the scenes to either support or oppose her? Every answer leads to more questions. Every revelation opens a new door of speculation, and every step Meghan took seemed to escalate the tension further. What came next, sources say, would be nothing short of astonishing. A single meeting, held in a sleek WME office in Los Angeles, became the crucible for the unfolding drama. Allegedly, Meghan entered with a presence so commanding that even seasoned agents felt the weight of her expectations. The conversation reportedly began politely, with formalities observed, but quickly escalated as she laid out her vision in no uncertain terms. According to insiders, her requests were specific, audacious, and non-negotiable. She didn't just want a ticket. She wanted a guarantee of a moment, a visual statement that would cement her status at the intersection of Hollywood glamour and royal fantasy. And the tension didn't end there. The Met Gala is not just an event. It is a tightly choreographed ecosystem of designers, celebrities, PR teams, and gatekeepers. Every decision has consequences, and every disruption threatens to ripple across this delicate ecosystem. For Meghan, the stakes were personal, public, and historical. A misstep could not only jeopardize her appearance at the gala but invite scrutiny, ridicule, and questions about her motives, her ambition, and her ever-present desire to control the narrative. Now, imagine the scene: agents whispering, designers taking hurried calls, assistants scrambling to find solutions, all while social media already begins to speculate. This was not just preparation. It was the beginning of a public spectacle that no one had fully anticipated. Every text, every leaked email, every rumor became a thread in a tapestry of anticipation and tension that captivated audiences around the world. And just when it seemed like the story might settle into a familiar pattern of celebrity negotiation and media speculation, insiders claimed that Meghan made a move that caught everyone off guard. A private message, sent through unconventional channels, allegedly outlined a vision so bold, so meticulously crafted, that even the most seasoned agents paused. It wasn't merely a request, it was a statement, a declaration that she would not be ignored, overlooked, or relegated to the background. And yet, for all this preparation, all this ambition, there remained one question that loomed over everything. Would the Met Gala, with its glittering array of stars and stringent exclusivity, actually grant Meghan her moment? Would the event organizers, agents, and designers bend the rules to accommodate her vision of a princess fantasy? Or would they draw a line, leaving her on the outside looking in, her ambitions temporarily thwarted, but her presence still commanding headlines? The email dropped like a bomb. It was innocuous at first glance, a simple message from the Met Gala organizing committee. But the implications were seismic. The 2026 Met Gala theme had been revealed to select insiders, and the moment it hit inboxes, the fashion world erupted in whispers, gasps, and the occasional outright panic. Historical royalty, pageantry, and power, read the subject line, a phrase that sent shockwaves through the glittering corridors of Hollywood agencies, designer studios, and celebrity circles alike. For most, it was an invitation to dream, to play with imagination, to craft gowns that could become iconic. But for Meghan Markle, it was something else entirely, a call to action, a challenge to her very image, and a potential storm of public spectacle waiting to happen. The theme itself was a nod to centuries of monarchy, opulent gowns, and ceremonial extravagance. Designers began imagining long trains, embroidered crowns, scepters, and robes adorned with jewels. Celebrities instantly started drafting concepts, whispering in private meetings, and coordinating with stylists who thrived on such high-stakes events. Everyone was brimming with ideas, but amid the excitement, one name loomed like a shadow: Meghan Markle. Insiders say her reaction was instant and intense. Word reached her through a network of agents and personal assistants. Sources claim that within minutes, Meghan had assembled a mental storyboard of what she intended to wear and, more importantly, how she intended to make her entrance. This was no ordinary fashion planning. For Meghan, this was personal. The theme echoed the world she had once inhabited as a royal, the world she had stepped away from yet never truly left behind in the public imagination. To her, this gala was a chance not merely to wear a gown, but to reclaim a narrative, to step into a fantasy that merged her Hollywood flair with her royal past. But there was a problem. The event, by design, is notoriously exclusive. Invitations are tightly controlled by a delicate network of organizers, designers, and talent agencies. You can have the money, the fame, and the connections, but if the Met Gala doesn't extend an invitation or approve your appearance, you don't attend. And according to sources, the initial distribution of the 2026 invitations did not clearly include Meghan. The tension was palpable, because while her status as a former royal and a Hollywood celebrity seemed to make her an obvious candidate, nothing at the Met Gala is guaranteed. The leaked theme set off a chain reaction. Agents began whispering furiously to one another, messaging their celebrity clients to ensure they had secure tickets. Stylists began sketches, sourcing fabrics that could do justice to the historical grandeur of the theme. Designers, already juggling multiple high-profile clients, had to prioritize their visions and consider who could truly embody the regal aesthetic. In this whirlwind, Meghan's name came up repeatedly, but the chatter was tinged with uncertainty. Could she pull this off? Would her agents secure a seat? And most importantly, would she honor the theme, or attempt to bend it entirely to her own vision? Social media, as expected, picked up on the leaks almost immediately. Though the official announcement had not yet been made public, fashion bloggers, Instagram influencers, and gossip columnists began speculating. Historical royalty? One tweet read, "Can we expect crowns, coronets, or tiaras dripping with diamonds?" Another post joked, "If Meghan attends, will she be the princess or the queen of the night?" The speculation was instant and frenzied, feeding the narrative before Meghan even had a chance to act. For Meghan, the leak wasn't just a piece of information, it was a challenge. She allegedly contacted her WME agents within hours, expressing both urgency and a sense of entitlement. Sources claim her message was pointed. She needed a ticket, she needed assurances, and she needed them fast. According to insiders, she described her intended look in exacting detail. A gown that would not just follow the theme but dominate it, a statement piece worthy of the world's cameras. Her vision was audacious, blending Hollywood glamour with royal sophistication, aiming to be the centerpiece of the entire evening. But WME, experienced and cautious, reportedly hesitated. They knew the stakes. Allowing one client to dictate terms on an event as exclusive as the Met Gala could upset not only the organizers, but also designers and other celebrities vying for attention. Internal emails circulated, highlighting concerns over protocol, etiquette, and potential fallout. Could one high-profile figure, even with royal connections, disrupt a meticulously curated evening? This question loomed like a storm cloud over every decision made in those tense hours. Meanwhile, the fashion world was already buzzing with theories. Would Meghan really attend dressed in her princess-inspired vision? Or would she conform to the designer's interpretations, which might emphasize historical accuracy over personal fantasy? The stakes were elevated because the Met Gala isn't just a party. It's a performance broadcast worldwide. Every outfit, every accessory, every gesture is scrutinized by critics, journalists, and fans alike. A misstep isn't just a faux pas. It's a viral moment, replayed endlessly, dissected in fashion columns and social media threads for months, if not years. Insiders also hint that the leak itself might have been strategic. Some claim that allies of Meghan or sympathetic figures within Hollywood agencies saw an opportunity to amplify her influence. By circulating early details of the theme, they could place her in the center of speculation, ensuring that any appearance she made would dominate headlines before the gala even began. This theory suggests a level of orchestration that goes beyond simple fashion planning. It hints at a carefully managed campaign to control perception, generate buzz, and secure her place as the focal point of the evening. And yet, there were tensions. Some designers reportedly bristled at the idea of bending their creative visions to meet one celebrity's demands. Others worried that granting Meghan too much influence could create resentment among other high-profile attendees. Rumors spread of last-minute negotiations, heated phone calls, and clandestine meetings behind closed doors. The entire ecosystem of the Met Gala seemed on the brink of upheaval, with Meghan's ambitions at the center of the storm. For the public, much of this drama remained unseen. All that was visible were the occasional leaks, cryptic social media posts, and the growing buzz around who might attend and what they might wear. Yet insiders painted a very different picture. A story of power, influence, and negotiation that few outside Hollywood would ever fully grasp. The stakes were personal, political, and highly performative, blending the allure of celebrity with the gravitas of royalty. So what exactly happened next? Sources suggest that after absorbing the leaked theme, Meghan did not wait for invitations or formal approvals. She reportedly reached out directly, bypassing intermediaries, making it clear that her appearance at the Met Gala was non-negotiable. Her vision wasn't merely for herself. It was for the cameras, the public, and the narrative she intended to dominate. Agents scrambled, designers recalibrated, and organizers began to assess the potential ramifications of this bold move. And in true Hollywood fashion, rumors began leaking that Meghan had specific requirements, including sketches, fabric samples, and even a proposed entrance plan that would allow her to fully embody the princess fantasy. Some insiders whispered about the tension this created backstage, with other celebrities observing, some amused, some anxious, and some openly skeptical. Could one figure claim so much attention in an environment designed to celebrate many? Or would the evening bend to accommodate a singular vision? As the hours passed, the drama intensified. Designers reportedly debated whether to support her vision, balancing loyalty to a high-profile client with their own creative integrity. WME agents weighed the risks of overstepping boundaries, knowing that every misstep could become public fodder. Social media speculation reached fever pitch, with fans and critics alike dissecting every hint of Meghan's involvement. Memes circulated, threads exploded, and the story began to take on a life of its own, independent of the gala itself. The stage was set for an extraordinary clash of personalities, ambitions, and stakes. The leaked theme had done more than reveal the dress code. It had ignited a chain reaction that would shape not just Meghan's plans, but the entire narrative of the 2026 Met Gala. Every participant, from designers to security, from agents to attendees, now had to contend with the ripple effects of that single announcement. And just when it seemed the storm might settle, insiders claimed that Meghan made a move that nobody expected. A message, a call, a strategy whispered to the right people at the right time, aimed at ensuring she would not just attend, but dominate. What exactly was in that message? And how would it set off the next wave of drama? That's where the story begins to twist, revealing a series of confrontations, negotiations, and audacious demands that would leave the fashion world and the public stunned. The leak had been more than an announcement. It had become the first domino in a series of events that would unfold in ways no one anticipated. And the question lingering over everyone involved was now sharper, more urgent, and impossibly loaded. Would Meghan Markle secure her ticket to the Met Gala? And if so, would she do it on her own terms, or be forced to compromise her vision? She didn't just call. She stormed the office. According to insiders, the moment Meghan Markle learned of the 2026 Met Gala theme, her reaction was immediate and decisive. This wasn't a polite inquiry, a casual check-in with agents, or a tentative suggestion. It was a full-on declaration of intent, wrapped in audacity and the kind of confidence that can silence even the most seasoned executives. Imagine the scene: a sleek WME office in Los Angeles, sun streaming through the glass panels, agents tapping keyboards, reviewing schedules, juggling hundreds of clients. And then Meghan's message lands. Or perhaps she walked in herself. Her presence commanding, her voice cutting through the hum of activity like a spotlight. The message, as insiders recall, was blunt and unequivocal. She needed a ticket to the Met Gala, and she intended to attend dressed as a princess. Every word carried weight. Every clause suggested that there was no room for negotiation. "I will be attending, dressed as a princess. No exceptions," is reportedly how she framed it. For WME, a powerhouse agency accustomed to managing egos, negotiating contracts, and mitigating crises, this was unprecedented. Not because of her request alone, but because of the certainty behind it. This wasn't a discussion. It was a demand. Agents scrambled. Emails were forwarded. Conference calls erupted. "Do we even have the leverage to say no?" one reportedly asked. Designers were contacted, in a flurry of urgent texts, to assess whether the vision she imagined could even be executed. Would the gown require months of planning, rare fabrics, or artisans who specialize in historical embroidery? Could they pull off a tiara and regal accoutrements without overshadowing the event itself? Every logistical question collided with the emotional weight of her request. Sources close to the story say that the boldness of Meghan's demand shocked some WME agents. They've dealt with celebrities who throw tantrums, insist on VIP treatment, or demand exclusive perks. But Meghan's approach was different. There was a sense of calculated audacity, a certainty in her positioning that suggested this was about more than a dress or a ticket. It was about control, presence, and narrative domination. She wasn't just negotiating attire, one insider claimed. She was staking a claim on the evening itself. The broader context is important. The Met Gala is not just a fashion event. It's a cultural performance watched globally, dissected by journalists, fashion critics, and social media audiences. Each appearance is an opportunity for influence, a chance to shape perception. And for Meghan Markle, who has long straddled the worlds of royalty and celebrity, this wasn't just a night out. This was a stage, a moment to assert her vision, cement her status, and ensure that her narrative remained unchallenged. Agents reportedly tried to temper her urgency. They reminded her that invitations are limited, that the organizers have final say, and that bending the rules could have ripple effects for the evening. But Meghan, according to multiple sources, was unyielding. She framed her argument in terms of experience, status, and expectation. She positioned herself as someone who not only belonged, but had earned the right to be central. Whether it was her royal background, her Hollywood connections, or the meticulous management of her public image, she used every tool at her disposal. Meanwhile, designers were forced into rapid-fire problem-solving. The theme of historical royalty, pageantry, and power had specific visual expectations, yet Meghan's vision reportedly pushed the envelope. She wanted a gown that would blend cinematic drama with aristocratic accuracy, a tiara that wasn't just jewelry but a statement, and an entrance so grand it would dominate coverage of the night. The challenge for designers was immense. How do you satisfy ambition that borders on spectacle without breaking protocol or overshadowing other high-profile attendees? Adding to the drama, sources suggest that Meghan's demands weren't limited to aesthetics. She allegedly requested guarantees for positioning within the event, cues for photography, and moments that would allow her presence to be highlighted without appearing forced. This level of specificity, insiders say, was unusual for even the most assertive celebrities. Some agents reportedly whispered about the princess effect, the combination of entitlement and meticulous planning that can either make a person unforgettable or completely disruptive. The emotional intensity of this demand cannot be overstated. For WME, the pressure wasn't just professional, it was reputational. If Meghan Markle didn't get what she wanted, Could her frustration leak into public view? Could tabloids spin the story as another royal scandal or Hollywood meltdown? Every decision, every negotiation, became a balancing act between compliance and control, risk and reward. As negotiations continued, the stakes grew. Sources say that Meghan escalated her approach, scheduling direct calls with top designers, insisting on previews of fabric samples, and even requesting mock-ups of her gown and accessories. The audacity of her actions reportedly sent a ripple through the fashion world, with some insiders privately marveling at her tenacity, while others questioned whether it bordered on obsession. She wasn't content to simply attend the gala. She wanted to own it, to shape every aspect of how the world would see her that night. But the drama extended beyond logistics. Some insiders hinted at tension between Meghan and other high-profile attendees who might perceive her demands as overreach. It wasn't just about a dress, one source explained. It was about visibility, influence, and control. Some people worried she was trying to steal the spotlight. Social media speculation began to swell, with rumors about her intentions circulating in private messaging apps, Instagram threads, and anonymous tip lines. The anticipation built a perfect storm of curiosity, gossip, and impending confrontation. And then came the alleged tipping point, a meeting in which Meghan reportedly confronted her WME agents directly. Sources claim that in a conference room lined with sleek leather chairs and polished glass tables, she laid out her expectations, her vision, and her non-negotiable demands. "I will be there," she reportedly said, "and I will be dressed as a princess. That is not optional." The tone, insiders say, combined calm authority with an undercurrent of threat, the kind that signals, whether overtly or subtly, that the consequences of refusal would be significant. This confrontation, while private, had immediate ripple effects. Designers scrambled to assess feasibility. Agents debated messaging. Event organizers were notified, quietly, through indirect channels, about the level of ambition and audacity being brought to the table. Meanwhile, social media chatter intensified, with insiders leaking selective details that hinted at drama without revealing the full extent. Memes, commentary, and speculation fueled public curiosity, ensuring that by the time the gala arrived, Meghan's name would be on everyone's lips. The underlying tension was electric. For agents, the challenge was balancing diplomacy with action. For designers, it was about balancing creativity with feasibility. For Meghan, it was about balancing desire with strategy. The convergence of these forces created a charged atmosphere, one in which every conversation, every decision, and every glance carried significance. And just when it seemed that the storm might settle into routine negotiations, sources say Meghan allegedly took another audacious step. A message, delivered through private channels, outlined her vision in such precise detail that even the most experienced agents reportedly paused. It was a blueprint for spectacle, designed to ensure her presence was not only felt, but unforgettable. The audacity of the request, the timing, and the clarity of vision reportedly left everyone in that room momentarily speechless. So what happened next? Did WME relent? Did designers bend to her will? And how would the gala itself respond to an unprecedented demand for spectacle, influence, and narrative control? The answers, insiders say, would set off a series of events that no one fully anticipated. A cascade of negotiations, public leaks, and dramatic confrontations that would dominate headlines in the weeks to come. Every designer in the city suddenly had a problem. What do you do when one of the most talked about figures in the world not only wants a ticket to the Met Gala, but insists on commanding every inch of attention? When Meghan Markle's name appeared in conversation, it wasn't just another client request. It was a full-blown challenge, a test of creativity, diplomacy, and stamina. The 2026 theme, historical royalty, pageantry, and power, was already a massive undertaking for anyone, requiring intricate embroidery, custom fabrics, and accessories that screamed opulence. But now designers had to figure out how to translate Meghan's vision of a princess fantasy into reality without collapsing under the pressure of her demands, public scrutiny, and the potential wrath of the gala organizers. It began with whispered phone calls. Designers huddled with their teams, pacing showrooms lined with swatches, beads, and sketches of elaborate gowns. Can we actually do this? One asked, flipping through sketches that suddenly seemed inadequate. Fabrics that had been reserved months in advance for other celebrities were reassessed. Tiara options, once considered bold, now seemed pedestrian. She wants more than a dress, a designer muttered. She wants a coronation. The problem wasn't just the gown. According to insiders, Meghan had ideas about the entrance, the lighting, the photography, even the way she would be positioned on the steps of the Met. Designers, who were used to interpreting themes creatively, were suddenly tasked with blending couture artistry with performance art, royal symbolism, and Hollywood spectacle. One designer reportedly described the scenario as being asked to build a palace overnight, but with everyone watching your every move, and no one allowed to tell you it might be impossible. Meanwhile, internal tensions flared. Some designers were intrigued, seeing this as an opportunity to create something historic. Others felt trapped, worried that bending to her would upset the delicate hierarchy of the event. After all, the Met Gala is curated to balance dozens of high-profile attendees, each of whom has influence and ego. Favoring one celebrity, even one with royal connections, could create resentment, gossip, and public scrutiny. Social media would be merciless, insiders warned. If we make her the centerpiece, everyone will notice, one designer reportedly said. And if we don't, she'll notice. And so will the world. Complicating matters further, Meghan's instructions were precise and non-negotiable. Sources claim she demanded a gown that blended cinematic drama with aristocratic authenticity, a dress that could withstand magazine photography, paparazzi shots, and the unforgiving eye of live streaming. Embroidery needed to be historically accurate, but the silhouette had to be daring and modern. Jewelry couldn't just sparkle. It had to symbolize power. Even the tiara reportedly required consultation with gemologists to ensure it would withstand scrutiny under every type of light. Designers who normally rely on creative freedom suddenly found themselves walking a tightrope, balancing artistry, logistics, and diplomacy. The designer's dilemma wasn't just technical, it was emotional. Some were thrilled by the challenge, seeing it as a chance to make history and create a gown that could be remembered for decades. Others were intimidated, sensing the enormity of the stakes and the potential fallout if anything went wrong. Emails were sent back and forth late into the night. Phone calls lasted for hours, and assistants scurried to locate rare fabrics and arrange for artisans who could execute the ambitious designs. The sense of urgency was palpable, as though the entire fashion world had suddenly been pressed into the service of a single, high-stakes fantasy. Behind the scenes, there were whispers of secret alliances and subtle sabotage. Some insiders suggested that rival designers, feeling the pressure, considered ways to undermine the process, perhaps by withholding certain materials or subtly influencing the final choices. Others saw this as a test of loyalty and skill, an opportunity to prove that they could deliver under impossible circumstances. Tension crackled in every studio, every showroom, every late-night call. And always, the name Meghan Markle hovered over the proceedings like a spotlight, illuminating every doubt, every decision, and every risk. The emotional stakes were equally high. For designers, this wasn't just about creating a gown. It was about navigating egos, expectations, and the unspoken rules of Hollywood diplomacy. One misstep could result in a scandal, a leaked photo, or public criticism that would echo for months. Social media scrutiny was already building, with fashion bloggers and celebrity accounts speculating on what Meghan might wear, who would approve it, and whether she would even attend. The designers knew that the pressure wasn't hypothetical, it was immediate, public, and unforgiving. As if the logistical and emotional challenges weren't enough, there were also moral and ethical considerations. Should they bend every rule to accommodate her fantasy, potentially upsetting the delicate balance of the event? Or should they set boundaries, knowing that defiance might provoke Meghan's wrath and generate headlines that could overshadow the gala itself? Insiders say these debates raged in private conversations, with some designers fearing that any wrong move could permanently damage their reputation. It's not just a gown, one designer said. It's a statement, and the wrong statement could cost us everything. In the midst of this chaos, a series of private meetings reportedly took place between Meghan, her WME agents, and the designers. These meetings were intense, focused, and fraught with tension. Meghan allegedly presented mood boards, sketches, and historical references, demanding that every detail align with her vision. The designers, many of whom are accustomed to creative autonomy, found themselves negotiating not just aesthetics but strategy. "She's not asking," one insider said. "She's dictating." The stakes escalated further when rumors leaked to social media. Even partial details about her vision, whether accurate or exaggerated, spread like wildfire, generating speculation, commentary, and anticipation. The public began dissecting every word, image, and hint of the unfolding drama. Every designer, every agent, every assistant became part of an invisible stage where the audience watched silently, ready to judge every choice. Despite the chaos, some designers found inspiration in the challenge. They began exploring fabrics, embellishments, and silhouettes that pushed boundaries while honoring the theme. Others worked tirelessly behind the scenes, negotiating with artisans, sourcing rare jewels, and planning contingencies in case the final gown needed last-minute alterations. Every decision carried weight, because Meghan's demands were not flexible, and failure was not an option in a world where perception is everything. And just when it seemed the designers might find a fragile balance, insiders suggest that Meghan allegedly escalated her demands even further. Beyond the gown, the jewelry, and the tiara, she reportedly requested that her entrance be choreographed to ensure maximum impact, that photographers be positioned strategically, and that every aspect of the visual presentation reinforce her princess fantasy. Designers were no longer merely creating clothing. They were orchestrating a performance, with every stitch, every fabric choice, and every accessory contributing to a narrative that would be scrutinized globally. It was a dilemma that tested creativity, patience, and resolve. Could designers satisfy a client whose demands blurred the line between couture and theater? Could they navigate the politics of the Met Gala, balancing fairness to other celebrities with the ambition of one formidable figure? Could they deliver a gown that was both iconic and respectful to the theme, while ensuring that Meghan's vision of a princess fantasy would not overshadow the entire event? And just as solutions seemed to emerge, insiders hint at another complication, a whisper that a designer might refuse outright, claiming the demands were impossible or inappropriate. The tension became almost tangible, as if every decision might ignite a scandal that would eclipse even the gala itself. Social media chatter intensified, insiders leaked snippets of conversations, and the fashion world braced for the coming storm. The designer's dilemma had become a crucible, testing artistry, strategy, and nerve. Every choice was scrutinized, every stitch debated, every decision carried the potential for both triumph and catastrophe. The balance between ambition and practicality, creativity and protocol, was razor-thin, and the world watched silently, ready to judge. And just when it seemed the designers had mapped every possibility, sources say Meghan made a move that changed everything. A private communication, details of which remain closely guarded, allegedly outlined not just the gown, but her vision for the night, her intended presence, and the narrative she aimed to command. The audacity of the request, combined with its meticulous detail, reportedly left designers momentarily speechless, unsure whether to marvel at the ambition or brace for the inevitable fallout. The stakes were higher than ever. Designers had a choice: bend, negotiate, or risk alienation from one of the most high-profile figures in modern celebrity culture. And as the hours ticked closer to the gala, the question hung in the air like a sword. Would Meghan's princess fantasy be realized? Or would the designer's dilemma end in compromise, controversy, or a spectacular public spectacle that no one could have predicted? Hollywood was buzzing, and it wasn't about fashion, it was about Meghan Markle. The moment whispers of her bold Met Gala demands leaked, gossip channels lit up like fireworks. Social media accounts exploded with speculation, memes, and frantic commentary. Meghan wants to attend dressed as a princess, one post read, followed by a flurry of emojis signaling shock, awe, and amusement. Another joked, will she sit on a throne at the entrance or wave like royalty? But beneath the humor, there was a serious undertone. Everyone was trying to predict what the most talked-about former royal in the world would do next. Unlike typical celebrity stories, this one wasn't confined to Instagram gossip or magazine headlines. Hollywood insiders were exchanging information in private group chats, talent managers were making emergency calls, and stylists were sketching multiple scenarios for how Meghan might execute her vision. The leaks had created a ripple effect across the industry. Every actor, designer, and publicist was now recalculating plans, worried about the domino effect her presence or absence could have on the evening. The initial reactions were a mix of awe, apprehension, and a little bit of panic. Some celebrities were intrigued, imagining the spectacle Meghan could create. Others were wary, seeing the potential disruption her demands could cause. If she walks in that room like she owns it, everything else falls into shadow, one stylist reportedly whispered. And no one here wants to be overshadowed. The Met Gala thrives on balance, on giving multiple celebrities their moment in the spotlight. But Meghan, insiders said, was positioning herself to dominate the narrative entirely. Public curiosity soared. Every minor leak, whether intentional or accidental, ignited waves of conversation. Hashtags began to trend, speculative articles multiplied, and YouTube channels started breaking down her rumored plans in dramatic, heavily edited videos. What will Meghan wear? One headline asked. Princess, queen, or Hollywood icon? The ambiguity only fueled the frenzy. Fans and critics alike debated her intentions, some defending her vision as creative genius, others criticizing it as arrogance or entitlement. Behind the scenes, the gossip wasn't just online. It was inside the offices, hotels, and studios where the Met Gala was being planned. Designers whispered about the audacity of Meghan's requests. Agents speculated whether WME would succeed in negotiating the perfect solution. Event organizers began recalibrating the seating chart and photo assignments to account for her possible appearance. Even security teams reportedly ran simulations, not of physical threats, but of how to manage the media frenzy if she made a dramatic entrance. The entire ecosystem of Hollywood and fashion had tilted suddenly toward one narrative: Meghan Markle's princess fantasy. Insiders also revealed the tension between celebrities in attendance. Some felt annoyed that one guest could potentially monopolize the narrative of the night. Others, especially those who thrived on controversy and visibility, quietly relished the drama, preparing their own entrances to counterbalance Meghan's expected spectacle. It wasn't just fashion. It was a subtle war for attention, a competition for who would capture headlines, photos, and social media clout. Every outfit, every pose, every step toward the entrance would be scrutinized. Meanwhile, memes and viral posts began multiplying, blending humor with critique. Social media influencers dissected possible gowns, creating polls, sketches, and speculative renderings of Meghan's princess vision. Will she go full tiara or keep it subtle? One poll asked. What historical era will inspire her look? Another thread debated whether the paparazzi would treat her differently than other attendees, given her royal background. The frenzy wasn't just entertainment. It was shaping public perception, and insiders say Meghan was keenly aware of it. Even Hollywood journalists began treating the story as a breaking narrative, not just a fashion rumor. One columnist allegedly described the unfolding events as a masterclass in celebrity influence, highlighting how a single personality could manipulate narrative, press attention, and industry dynamics simultaneously. Analysts compared the situation to past Met Galas where tension between creative ambition and social power played out, but noted that Meghan's blend of royalty and Hollywood fame created a scenario almost unprecedented in scale. At the same time, speculation about her actual gown and look reached fever pitch. Some insiders suggested she might hire multiple designers to craft different components, a gown by one, a tiara by another, accessories by a third, creating a composite vision that would be impossible to replicate or ignore. The level of detail allegedly included plans for lighting cues, strategic photography angles, and even choreographed gestures to ensure that every camera captured her intended narrative. The term princess fantasy became shorthand for audacity, ambition, and calculated spectacle. Social media debates often turned polarizing. Fans of Meghan celebrated her as a trailblazer, someone taking control of her narrative and asserting her creative vision in a world dominated by strict hierarchies and expectations. Critics framed her actions as excessive, pointing to the audacity of demanding a spectacle in an event curated by elite gatekeepers. The conversation wasn't limited to fashion. It touched on power, celebrity influence, and even perceived entitlement. Every discussion, online and offline, amplified the stakes, ensuring that by the time the gala arrived, attention would be laser-focused on her. The gossip machine also highlighted potential behind-the-scenes betrayals. Some insiders claimed that certain celebrities or stylists leaked parts of Meghan's plans intentionally, aiming to stir public debate, pressure the designers, or influence her strategy. Others insisted that she had carefully orchestrated some leaks herself, using the media to control the narrative and ensure maximum visibility. The result was a swirling mix of truth, rumor, exaggeration, and strategic storytelling that kept Hollywood and the public guessing. Even in private, the tension escalated. Designers and agents held emergency meetings to recalibrate plans. Phone calls ran late into the night, discussing logistics, contingencies, and media management. Every message and every sketch was analyzed for potential leaks. One stylist reportedly said, "It's like walking a tightrope over a pit of tigers. One misstep, and the entire narrative could collapse." The environment was intense, charged, and unpredictable, exactly the stage for drama to erupt. And as the gossip spread, it didn't just shape perception, it influenced action. Designers began altering sketches, sourcing rare materials faster than ever, and adjusting timelines to accommodate the possibility of Meghan attending in full princess regalia. Agents pushed organizers for guarantees. Security teams prepared for scenarios that went beyond simple crowd control, anticipating media surges, fan attention, and social media virality. Every element of the evening became a chessboard, with Meghan Markle's ambitions at the center of the game. The excitement and tension reached a point where even small details became headline material. A single leaked fabric swatch sparked speculation about era, style, and intent. Rumors of a tiara, of specific gemstone choices, and of potential accessories were amplified through Instagram threads and fashion blogs. Fans debated historical accuracy versus Hollywood glam, and insiders suggested that every comment, leak, and rumor was being carefully monitored by her team to ensure the narrative remained favorable. But the most dramatic ripple came when whispers began suggesting that Meghan wasn't content to merely plan her outfit. Sources claimed she had a strategy for interactions with other celebrities, placement at the entrance, and moments specifically designed to maximize media coverage. The idea wasn't just to attend, it was to dominate. And in the environment of the Met Gala, where optics, photography, and choreography are everything, such ambitions were extraordinary. By the time the gala neared, gossip had reached a fever pitch. Every stylist, designer, agent, and journalist felt the weight of anticipation. Everyone wanted to know, would Meghan show up? Would she adhere to the theme? Would she transform the Met Gala into her own stage, bending rules, expectations, and protocol in the process? And just when the industry thought they had anticipated every twist, insiders suggest that Meghan allegedly sent a new set of instructions, further complicating the narrative. Details about lighting, positioning, and even her interactions with other guests reportedly reached the designers and agents. The combination of creativity, ambition, and audacity had now evolved into something almost theatrical, a performance waiting to unfold on one of the biggest stages in the world. The gossip machine had done its work. It had taken a single leaked theme, amplified it, and turned it into a public spectacle, shaping perception, expectations, and strategy before the gala even began. Designers, agents, and attendees now faced a question that would define the night. Could anyone meet the expectations of a woman determined not just to attend, but to rule the narrative? Agents were shocked and furious. The moment Meghan Markle's demands hit the inboxes and meeting rooms of WME, the agency realized they were facing a scenario unlike anything they had navigated before. WME, one of the most powerful talent agencies in Hollywood, had managed stars with temperaments, egos, and complex requests for decades. They had negotiated multi-million-dollar contracts, diffused high-profile scandals, and even handled diva-level demands at award shows. But Meghan's combination of royal history, Hollywood fame, and uncompromising ambition was, insiders say, a game-changer. According to sources close to WME, the initial reaction was disbelief. Agents reportedly exchanged incredulous glances, wondering whether this was a serious request or some kind of publicity stunt. She wants a ticket, she wants a tiara, and she wants her moment choreographed, one agent reportedly asked. The answer, apparently, was yes, and it came with the kind of urgency that left little room for negotiation. The agency knew that how they responded could make or break not only their relationship with Meghan, but also their standing with the gala organizers, designers, and other A-list clients. The challenge was immediate. WME had to assess the logistics of fulfilling her demands while managing the politics of an event that is as exclusive as it is high stakes. Invitations were limited, photographers were assigned months in advance, and designers had already begun mapping their creative visions around the theme. Could they realistically accommodate one client's audacious vision without disrupting the carefully curated balance of the gala? Could they negotiate without appearing to bow to pressure? And what would happen if they failed? Or worse, if word of the conflict leaked to the press? Internal emails and phone calls reportedly flew fast and furious. Teams debated strategy, weighing the risks of complying against the risks of resistance. Some agents argued that Meghan's history as a former royal gave her leverage that few others could claim. Others were concerned about the optics. Yielding too much could create resentment among other celebrities, designers, and even members of the organizing committee. "We have to be careful," one senior agent reportedly warned. "This isn't just about a dress. It's about control, influence, and headlines." As discussions intensified, WME reportedly reached out to designers for a reality check. Could they execute Meghan's vision within the parameters of the gala? Could the gown, the tiara, and the planned entrance be completed in time without overshadowing other clients? The answers were complicated. Designers expressed excitement about the challenge, but also frustration about the constraints. Every stitch, every jewel, every detail required precision, and any misstep could become a viral scandal. "It's like trying to build a palace in a week," one designer admitted, with cameras on every corner. The emotional stakes within the agency were just as high as the logistical ones. Some agents were thrilled by the opportunity to work on a high-profile spectacle that could dominate headlines. Others were anxious, feeling the pressure of managing a client whose ambitions seemed limitless. One insider described the mood as electric tension, with creativity, fear, and strategy colliding in a way that made every decision feel monumental. The agency had to balance diplomacy with urgency, influence with discretion, and ambition with practicality, all while ensuring Meghan felt supported. WME's official strategy, according to sources, was twofold. First, they needed to confirm whether Meghan's demands were feasible. This meant liaising with the gala organizers, coordinating with designers, and assessing logistics down to the smallest detail. Second, they needed to manage perception. Any leak, miscommunication, or public dispute could be amplified instantly across social media and traditional media outlets. Every move was scrutinized, and the stakes for WME were enormous. Insiders also hinted at behind-the-scenes power plays. Some agents reportedly tried to mediate between Meghan and the organizers, while others worked to negotiate compromises on the gown, the entrance, and her presence at the gala. Private conversations were intense, full of strategy, persuasion, and, at times, subtle threats. "We can make this work," one agent allegedly told a colleague. "But if we misstep, this could explode into a public scandal." The pressure escalated when rumors of Meghan's audacity began circulating. Leaks, intentional or accidental, reached gossip blogs, Instagram threads, and fashion analysts. WME agents now had to contend not only with the practical realities of the gala, but also with the rapidly evolving public narrative. Every decision they made, every adjustment they suggested, was potentially being scrutinized in real time. Some insiders claimed that agents began preparing multiple contingency plans, anticipating possible reactions from Meghan, the designers, and the media. The complexity of the situation was compounded by the high stakes of celebrity hierarchy. Meghan Markle's former royal status gave her a kind of cultural leverage that most clients could never achieve. Her name alone commanded attention, creating pressure not only on WME, but also on other celebrities attending the gala. Insiders suggest that agents were acutely aware that any misstep could alienate Meghan or create conflict with the gala organizers, both outcomes carrying serious consequences for the agency's reputation. One particularly tense moment reportedly occurred when Meghan allegedly sent a follow-up message, emphasizing that her attendance was non-negotiable. The agents, who had been exploring compromises, suddenly faced the reality that this was no ordinary client request. According to sources, the agency realized that they were not just managing a fashion demand. They were navigating a high-stakes negotiation involving public perception, media attention, and celebrity power dynamics. As WME deliberated, the fashion world continued to buzz with speculation. Designers were weighing their options, agents were strategizing, and gossip channels were alive with predictions and rumors. The complexity of the situation created an environment where every small detail mattered, and insiders say that the agency was working at a fever pitch, coordinating across multiple time zones, scheduling last-minute calls, and monitoring leaks in real time. Despite the chaos, WME reportedly recognized an opportunity. Successfully managing Meghan's attendance, delivering her vision, and controlling the narrative could enhance their reputation as an agency capable of navigating the most audacious, high-profile demands in Hollywood. But failure could be catastrophic. A misstep, a leak, or a public dispute could overshadow the entire gala and damage the agency's credibility. In private, some agents admitted they were nervous. "We've dealt with diva clients before," one said, "but this is different. The combination of celebrity, royalty, and spectacle makes it almost impossible to predict." The stakes were elevated by the intense scrutiny of social media, where every rumor, tweet, and Instagram story could shape public opinion within minutes. Every conversation, every email, and every decision became a calculated risk. And just when WME thought they were beginning to find a path forward, insiders suggest that Meghan allegedly escalated again. A private communication reportedly outlined not only the gown but the entire performance, entrance, positioning, photo opportunities, and strategic moments designed to maximize attention. The audacity of the request reportedly left even the most seasoned agents momentarily stunned. It wasn't simply about securing a ticket. It was about controlling the evening itself. The response from WME had to be measured, strategic, and precise. They had to protect the agency's relationships with organizers, designers, and other clients while satisfying one of the most demanding figures in modern celebrity culture. Every decision was analyzed, debated, and tested because the consequences of failure were not just professional, they were public. And as the agency navigated this unprecedented challenge, one question loomed over everyone involved. Would WME succeed in securing Meghan's vision? Or would her demands spark a public spectacle that no one could contain? The answer, insiders say, would determine not only the success of the gala but the trajectory of one of the most talked-about celebrities in the world. Was this a fashion move or a royal misstep? That question began circulating the moment Meghan Markle's Met Gala ambitions leaked to the public. To the casual observer, it might have seemed like another celebrity planning her evening wardrobe. But for those who have followed Meghan's journey, from Hollywood actress to Duchess of Sussex, and now a public figure navigating both spheres, the stakes were anything but ordinary. Every choice she made, every gesture she planned, carried the weight of her past, the scrutiny of the present, and the expectations of millions watching worldwide. The 2026 Met Gala theme, historical royalty, pageantry, and power, was a stage tailor-made to test her dual identity. It invited all attendees to explore centuries of regalia, ceremonial splendor, and aristocratic symbolism. For most celebrities, it was a playground for creativity, a chance to showcase couture genius. For Meghan, however, it was a reflection, a mirror that reflected both her Hollywood glamour and her royal past. It was as if the universe had placed her on the precipice of two worlds simultaneously, daring her to decide which version of herself would dominate the narrative. Sources close to the story described the tension as palpable. Meghan was acutely aware that any misstep could be interpreted as overreach or faux pas. A poorly executed ensemble might be dissected as tone-deaf or self-aggrandizing. A perceived slight against the gala's historical theme could trigger criticism from fashion purists and royal watchers alike. And yet, the ambition driving her was unmistakable. She didn't want to blend in. She wanted to stand out, to claim the narrative before anyone else could. Her royal background added layers of complexity to the situation. Even as she navigated the Hollywood world, the public and media could not separate her from her identity as a former duchess. Every choice was therefore a balancing act. Would attending the gala in a princess-inspired gown reinforce her royal image in a way that critics might view as opportunistic, or would it cement her status as a bridge between two worlds? Analysts, social commentators, and former palace aides all weighed in, debating whether the move was ambitious brilliance or a subtle miscalculation. Social media amplified these questions. Fans and critics debated endlessly. Some defended her vision as an empowered assertion of personal expression, a woman who had stepped out of the constraints of tradition, now reclaiming her narrative in a high-profile space. Others saw it as an attempt to cling to a royal identity she had formally relinquished, pointing to the audacity of commanding attention in an event already crowded with power and prestige. Hashtags trended, polls exploded, and memes circulated depicting Meghan in tiaras, velvet gowns, and throne-like poses. The online conversation became its own ecosystem, influencing perception long before any gown was even finalized. Meanwhile, Meghan's team was reportedly navigating the tricky intersection of image management and public expectation. Publicists and agents collaborated with designers, strategists, and even photographers to ensure that every aspect of her appearance aligned with both her royal past and her Hollywood present. Insider accounts describe meticulously planned scenarios, lighting arrangements, entrance choreography, and even suggested interactions with fellow celebrities, all designed to reinforce her dual identity. This was not just fashion, it was narrative construction, the careful orchestration of visibility and influence. The conflict, however, wasn't only external. Insiders say Meghan wrestled privately with the tension inherent in this dual identity. On one hand, the princess fantasy she wanted to realize at the gala was deeply rooted in her former life, a world of tradition, ceremony, and expectation.